How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. So, today we're talking about a ridiculous freaking trade. A trade that's going to make you cringe, a trade that's going to make you crawl back up into the hole from which you came. And it's that the Yankees almost considered trading Gleyber Torres for Alex Verdugo. Now, if you don't know much about Alex Verdugo, he's not as good as Gleyber Torres offensively, and he's had a lot of stuff kind of happen to him, or things that he's done that have definitely rubbed some people the wrong way, and I feel as though this would be like a classic Brian Cashman trade an asset for a lesser player move. This would be a classic Cashman move. However, I don't think that he's going to do something like this, because this is just so out there. It's so ridiculous. I can't even believe we're talking about this right now. But, Ryan, when it comes to Alex Verdugo, this is a player that's not going to make the Yankees that much better, if not make them even freaking worse. So I want to talk about this, comparably the players, but also like, why would you actively be giving a good player to a freaking rival that's going to make them better? This makes no logical sense. And of course, the report came out through Odyssey. I think his name is Rob Bradford, the journalist, said that according to Major League sources, the Red Sox identified the Yankees second baseman Gleyber Torres as a trade target last season. Oh wow, like yip-de-doo, everybody was looking at Gleyber Torres. With Verdugo being of interest in New York, it appears the teams might very well be looping back on the conversation this offseason. That seems like a little bit of conjecture to me. It seems like a little bit of assumption just based on the fact that they were interested in previous months. Nothing to say that they are actively considering that, but just because they were interested, they may re-engage. It seems like a baseless assumption, in my personal opinion. Want to get your take on it, Ryan, and obviously the comparison between these two players, because you obviously are not a fan of this deal either.
So look, Alex Verdugo at the trade deadline, right? Like by the All-Star break, he had I think a 119 WRC plus. Was obviously, he's made leaps defensively and all that stuff, but since then he's been not a good hitter, right? Like since that point in time, the offense has deteriorated, and you might say, okay, maybe the guy had just a down second half. Maybe the year prior was pretty good. He had a 102 WRC plus and hit 11 home runs in 152 games for 1.2 F4. You might go, okay, well, you know what? Maybe it was the year before. Maybe the year before that in 2021, that was a big year, and the Yankees are banking on that. He had a 106 WRC plus and hit 13 home runs in 146 games. I mean, he's a ground ball machine, right? Like defensively, it's his first good defensive season. Base running wise, he has negative 2.0 base running runs on Fangraphs. He hits into a decent amount of double plays. He had 5 steals and 8 attempts, which isn't great. Obviously, if you have 5 steals and 3 caught stealings, it's not a good rate. The OBP was 324 this season. That's a career low. He had his lowest WRC plus at 98 since 2018, when he wasn't even a full-time player and was still with the Dodgers. He hasn't had a season with an above 2 WAR since joining the Red Sox, right? And look, I understand WAR isn't everything, but we're talking about the Yankees trying to get better offensively. We're talking about the Yankees getting an impact piece. You're not moving Gleyber Torres for a guy who has, a 100 or 101 WRC plus over the past 2 seasons. Gleyber Torres this year has accumulated more Fangraphs WAR than Alex Verdugo has between 2022 and 2023. I get it. He's left-handed and he doesn't strike out. But Alex, left-handed and doesn't strike out are skills you want to have for good hitters, not for hitters like this who hit the ball straight into the ground. There isn't like a fly ball profile here. There isn't an extensive history of being able to pull the ball in the air. His pull rate was 38.2%, which is not above average. He's fly ball rate 33.8%, again, not above average. This is a slap hitter at this point, right? And look, we can get into, some of the stuff that happened with the Dodgers in terms of off-field incidents, but I understand those are just accusations, and those are something we don't want to get into on this podcast. But in talking about recent incidents, in 2023, last season, Alex Cora called a loss against the Blue Jays one of the worst days he's ever had with the organization. Why? He had to bench Alex Verdugo. And why was that? Well, MLB.com reported that he showed up 2 hours before first pitch, when position players are supposed to show up for the Red Sox 4 hours beforehand, which means he was 2 hours late to a baseball game against a division rival back in September when the Red Sox were still kind of in the mix. And then he had to bench him before that incident this year because of an inability to hustle or just bad effort on the field. Is that the type of guy you want to bring on to the New York Yankees? Is that the type of guy that you want playing left field for this team? Is this the type of guy who has the skill set that you can ignore that? Look, was Robinson Cano the best hustler in the world? No, but he had a 130 WRC plus and hit like 30 home runs. Who cared, right? We could talk about Manny Machado, right? Like, he's a guy who's been known maybe sometimes to not have great effort. The guy's a future Hall of Famer, right? Like, the production on field is going to make you not care about it. Hell, there are moments where Gleyber doesn't look like he's running hard all the time. You obviously remember that play in 2021 against the Braves. But guess what? Since then, he's consistently been one of the best hitters at his position. If you're going to be lazy, if you're going to cause disruptions and have kind of not great rapport with your manager, and then be bad at baseball, why would I want you on my team? And as you mentioned, the New York Yankees should absolutely stay far, far away from this. If Craig Breslow, the new president of baseball operations for the Boston Red Sox, can pull off a deal of Alex Verdugo for Gleyber Torres, Red Sox fans would build him a statue immediately because, quite frankly, Gleyber's too good of a fit for the Red Sox. You think right-handed power hitter with that Fenway, that shorter left field. I know it's a little bit taller, but still, think of all the hits he's going to get that would have been a fly ball out at Yankee Stadium. And then Alex Verdugo, it's not even like he pulls his fly balls. There is no benefit for the Yankees here. And honestly, I don't think I'm interested in him at all, even if it's not for Gleyber Torres and it's for a lesser piece.
Look, I think that's a good way to put it. Unless you're fleecing a rival, there's no reason to be going out and making your rivals better. Look, the most apparent narrative or conversation to have right now is that Brian Cashman 2 days ago came out and said Gleyber Torres was our second best hitter beside from Aaron Judge, obviously. Why would you be stripping your team for parts, stripping your team of your best players when you need to be getting better, right? Alex Verdugo is not better than Gleyber Torres, objectively speaking. So when you're actually looking at this as a one-for-one deal, you are losing talent. You're losing this deal. And I would rather put Everson Pereira in a corner outfield spot. I'd rather go out and sign Kevin Kiermaier and put a prospect in an outfield spot than see Alex Verdugo play for this team, because the truth is you are not getting better. He's arguably like in a perfect world for the Yankees, he's a backup for us. He's a rotational piece. You know what I mean? Like he's not starting on this team. And you look at Gleyber Torres, he is starting on this team. And both of them, for what it's worth, there's not even an argument to make here that's like, all right, you're trading Gleyber Torres and you're getting 3 more years of control from Alex Verdugo. Guys, they're both hitting free agency next year. They're both free agents in 2025. You're just swapping straight offensive production for offensive production. And guess what? Gleyber Torres is 20% better in WRC plus than Alex Verdugo, if not better than that, maybe 25% better. So you're looking at a player that's just like head and shoulders. It's not even close. This is a stupid ass trade. Whoever came up with this, whoever is assuming this, it's just not even close. Like if you're going to trade Gleyber Torres, you're getting either a very solid starting pitcher in return, or you're getting an outfielder with control. Now, here, Ryan, let's throw another idea into the mix here. You wrote a great article yesterday about how the Yankees were connected to 2 St. Louis players. Now, I think they want pitching, but if you were talking about Gleyber Torres in a deal including Brendan Donovan, that's a different conversation to have. You know what I mean? That's like, okay, you're getting a player that has control, has upside, has a gold glove. You know, his bat is ridiculously good. Let's transition over to this for a second. More so, maybe not so much about Gleyber Torres, but Brendan Donovan specifically. You're going to have to give up some decent pieces, probably like Clark Schmidt plus some. The Yankees considering that alternative. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so looking at Brendan Donovan, I mean, come on, Alex, it's a perfect fit for the New York Yankees. I mean, the guy is a great switch hitter. I mean, his OBP is ridiculous. As you mentioned, it will not come cheap. Like, I know that there's that report, like, the Cardinals were looking at Clayton Beeter and Ron Marinaccio, and I'm not doubting that they could be part of a package, but Yankee fans, simmer down. You're not getting Brendan Donovan for Clayton Beeter and Ron Marinaccio. We're talking like you're going to have to trade like a Clark Schmidt or a Chase Hampton or a Drew Thorpe or, maybe even a Michael King. And look, I would entertain the idea for sure. Like, I'm willing to pay that high price tag because, as you've alluded to, right, the Yankee, and this isn't just pertaining specifically to this podcast, we've talked about this at verbatim, right? We've talked about this time and time again. We've talked about the Yankees need a leadoff hitter. The Yankees need somebody who can stabilize the bat at the top of that lineup. Brendan Donovan does that perfectly. Brendan Donovan makes excellent swing decisions. He's versatile. The way I was looking at this, and this is an interesting thought I had, I don't know, and I want to bounce this off of you for a little bit. If he's your left fielder, right? Like, assuming you can't get Juan Soto, the Padres like, nope, we're holding on to him until the deadline. If he's your left fielder, and then an opportunity for Juan Soto becomes available, because Donovan is so versatile, let's say Peraza and DJ aren't doing the job at third base. He slots into third base. Let's say Torres, right? Like, it requires trading Torres somewhere to get a big piece. You're moving Donovan to second, right? Like, let's say something befalls Aaron Judge and he's hurt. He plays right field, right? Like, it doesn't, like, the situation doesn't really matter. He can play there, right? Like, he can even play some first base. Like, something happens to Anthony Rizzo, he'll go play there. He's an insurance option. He's the insurance option you hoped Cabrera could be, but Cabrera, he had his struggles this year. Like, this was not a good year for him. Next year, he'll have to play a little better, but imagine if you get a better version of Oswaldo Cabrera. It's a little bit more of what that 2022 self looked like. You have a guy like Brendan Donovan. Those are two guys who just give you insurance. You plug and play them anywhere, right? And they help your lineup. Also, controllable piece of the future. He'll be 27 this January, so he'll be entering his age 27 season. And Alex, this is a guy you build, a team around, right? This is a guy you plug into, like, hey, this is the Aaron Judge, Brendan Donovan, Anthony Volpe. You start Austin Wells. You start plugging in pieces to the core. He's one of those guys, and he went to Driveline last offseason, had a little more pop. I know the WRC Plus was actually 10% worse, but he was getting better before an elbow injury. Quite frankly, I mean, Alex, this is a perfect fit, right? Contact, on base, improving power, the type of swing that gets better at Yankee Stadium, right? He kind of fits that mold of not enough raw power to get the ball out in, like, St. Louis where right field is deep, but enough power to get it out at Yankee Stadium, and not too much power, and I don't mean too much power is a bad thing, but like Joey Gallo, for example. Joey Gallo hits the ball a billion miles an hour. If he's going to hit the ball to right field, it's getting out anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, I think some people overplay that a little bit, but in Brendan Donovan's case, it is a situation where he would hit more home runs.
I mean, yeah, aside from just hitting more home runs in Yankee Stadium, one of the things that really stood out to me was his splits, right? His splits with runners in scoring position, guys. This will make you excited. With runners in scoring position, he hit 310 with a 453 OBP this past season, 1.005 OPS, and 552 slugging. The dude steps up with runners on base, right? Aside from home runs, he gets extra base hits. He's athletic. He hits the ball. He doesn't strike out a ridiculous amount. This is a player who, you have under control. I believe it's until 2027, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe
I think it's even farther
more
than
that. 2028, 29. I have to check his fan graphs, but this is a guy that you're gonna have for a long time, and he can be, for what it's worth, your leadoff hitter for a long time. And DJ LeMahieu doesn't have to be that guy that, like, we just can't depend on. 2029, he's a freaking free agent, and oh my god, like, talk about control. And because Brendan Donovan's like the perfect fit. Yes, he did get knocked out, as you mentioned, due to the injury, the elbow injury, I believe. He played 95 games this year, 126 in 2022. So he does have a little bit of injury concern with him. But this is a guy who's going to show up every single year, put up a 15% strikeout rate, if not better than that, double-digit walk rates, WRC plus around 120, if not better, every single season. He has a gold glove. If he could hit 15 homers a year, have an average above 280 and gets on base at above 36%. You tell me, Ryan. I mean, this guy's a match made in heaven. I do think that, if the Yankees do want to go in this direction, I would fully support it because of the control you get here. But trading for Brendan Donovan may roll out some other alternatives. However, hear me out, Ryan. However, if you go out and get Brendan Donovan and you spend on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and you don't acquire Juan Soto in free agency and wait for him to hit free agent market, because the Padres are certainly not going to be paying him that big contract, most likely, maybe you have an avenue here where the Yankees can compete next season with Yamamoto, Donovan, and maybe a Kevin Kiermaier signing, maybe some other depth pieces. Wait until next year, get that Soto. Now you have Brendan Donovan, Judge. Theoretically, you keep Gleyber and you have DJ still under contract. Maybe you call up like guys like Ben Rice. Volpe's going to his third season. Austin Wells. And then you get Soto as part of that deal as a 2-year strategy. I mean, we're World Series, those aspirations are very real all of a sudden, right? Maybe that's something that shouldn't be like we got to fix everything in one offseason. You get a couple of good pieces, some with control and cheaper price points for prospects, and then you build that way. And then you set up yourself for a 2025 World Series run, and maybe you still compete next year. Maybe next year the Padres are in a bad spot, and you trade for Soto at the deadline, and you still make that impact. And you get him for a hell of a lot cheaper, I'll tell you that right now. So, there's options here. The Yankees don't need to necessarily jump the gun and go for Soto right now. They could be a little patient and get other pieces like Brendan Donovan's of the world and get much better that way. What are your thoughts about that? Just being a little bit patient on the Soto front, but still upgrading the roster in the meantime while you wait for him to be available.
Yeah, so the tough thing when it comes to like talking about, all right, trading for Brendan Donovan, doing this, doing that, right, is like you're always in the back of your head thinking about Juan Soto, right? And it's a tricky predicament. You don't want to be in a spot where you're letting opportunities fly off the board, waiting for a guy who might not get traded. But in the same regard, you don't want to trade all your pieces that you would have traded for Juan Soto and then fail to get him, right? Like you're in a weird spot. I am not envious of the Yankees position right now in terms of, trying to get players. And Andy Martino, he kind of echoed this yesterday, I believe. I think it was on SNY in a segment, like a Baseball Tonight segment, something like that, where he was like, the New York Yankees are going to be looking at Juan Soto as the priority. They will go all in for him. Bellinger's more of like a secondary option, and they have concerns with Bellinger. And I like hearing that. I like hearing that that's the way that they're going to look at this, because I don't, John Heyman was kind of more like, oh, these are 3 superstar bats, like not really differentiating between like the Cody Bellingers and Juan Sotos of the world, because there is a massive gap there. And look, I'm not too interested in giving Cody Bellinger like $180 million. So I would love to see the Yankees, go more of a sustainable route. Look, is Brendan Donovan, like, is he an established like superstar? No, but would I trust him more than Cody Bellinger? Yeah, like I would. Like, I think the skill set's a lot more sustainable. And then obviously Juan Soto, it's not even a conversation, right? Juan Soto's Juan Soto, right? There's one guy in the 21st century to have a higher OBP than Juan Soto, and that's Barry Bonds. So, that's rarefied air. But the Yankees have a lot of pitching, right? Like, maybe they could swing a deal for both. Like, I would not say it's impossible, and especially if you're linked to Yoshinobu Yamamoto, especially if you're able to bring back Montas on a 1-year deal, you might be able to trade a bunch of pitching and not really regret it, right? Like, if Nestor Cortez and Clark Schmidt are not here next year, or if Michael King and Clark Schmidt are not here next year via trade, and you have Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Frankie Montas, your pitching staff's still going to be pretty good, right? And you've still got, you're probably still going to have a plethora of pitching prospects. They'll probably find some guy in the draft, that they drafted last year and turn him into a stud. It's kind of just what they do, right? Like, we were witnesses of this. The Yankees in 2022, quote unquote, traded all their pitching depth. JP Sears, Ken Waldichuk, Hayden Wesneski, Luis Medina, all those guys were either close to or already major league ready. And the Yankees dealt them. The Yankees dealt them away and then replaced them with Chase Hampton and Drew Thorpe, who are clearly better pitching prospects. So, the Yankees have to use their surplus. They have to use something they develop well to their advantage. If you can't develop hitting just yet, that's fine. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but you can work around that. And you work around that by acquiring hitting. That's what the Rangers did. I mean, who's the guy that the Rangers have fixed pitching-wise, right? We can say maybe Jordan Montgomery, but I think he was already a pretty good pitcher before that. They didn't fix Max Scherzer. They didn't fix, they didn't make they didn't make Nathan Eovaldi good at baseball. He's always been good at baseball. So they just went out and said, all right, here's a bunch of position player prospects. Let's throw them at the Cardinals. Let's throw them at whoever we have to throw them at, and let's spend a bunch of money, and let's make our pitching staff good because we can't develop it. That's what the Yankees have to do with the hitting right now.
And we're going to see how they do this. We're going to see how they actually go about leveraging some of their prospects, their surplus of talent, as you kind of referenced there, to improve the team. Because some of these guys are going to be Rule 5 eligible, and they may lose them anyway. So trading them now, you might be able to get value out of this. So I do believe that we're going to see things start to heat up in a couple of weeks. I mean, free agency is underway. Like, things are going to start getting crazy. Matt Chapman even went to the annual offseason kickoff for the MLB general managers, who, by the way, I'm reading something right now. Ryan, this is crazy. A stomach ailment has felled 10% of the executives at the MLB's annual offseason kickoff. 10% of them have this stomach bug that has been going around. It's a virus, so all of them are getting it. This is absolutely crazy. So unbelievable sequence of events going on there. We'll see how this progresses, and hopefully these guys can get back on track, and hopefully Cashman is not one of the guys with these stomach bugs, so he can start wheeling and dealing while the others are down. Just a little bit of positive silver lining there, hopefully. But my friends, want to hear your thoughts. Brendan Donovan, obviously interesting player here, but mostly Alex Verdugo. No, thank you. Please stay far away from this. That would be the biggest piece of malpractice you could possibly conjure up if you're the Yankees, is trading Gleyber Torres for Alex Verdugo. Now, there's other trades that could make sense that I may be able to get on board with. This one is not one of them. So always happy to hear your thoughts below. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.